Driving safety in the presence of school buses. Today, we're going to talk about what the laws are, what you should do to be safe, and more importantly, to keep our children safe. And unfortunately, we're going to talk about why on this week's Monday Morning Lawyer. Good morning, everybody. It's Jobeth Bowers, your accident and injury guy, coming at you from my Elkton office right here in Elkton, Maryland. Happy Monday. The time has changed. Normally, this week's slot is the one where we talk about how there's an overabundance of accidents following time changes. It's still true, but today I want to talk about something that's much more pressing because of an incident that happened. Fortunately, this incident wasn't as bad as it could have been. Many of you probably have seen videos circulating on social media about a near miss situation involving a vehicle aggressively passing a school bus last week right here in Cecil County, in fact, in Rising Sun. In a moment, I'm going to play that video as we talk about the why behind the laws that are here in place in Maryland that dictate your necessity, your need to stop when a school bus has its lights on and when it's making a stop. And I'm going to urge everybody watching this not only to share this so that everybody else is aware, because we're going to go through all of the scenarios, but I'm going to highly urge and recommend that you be even more cautious and aware in situations like this. These laws exist for the safety of these kids. They're everywhere from kindergarten up to many 12th graders. I know a lot of them are driving by that age, but many still use the bus. This is fortunately not as graphic as it could have been because nobody, fortunately, was physically harmed in this incident. But it wakes us up to these laws, which we will go through, and why. So I'm going to show this clip. It is potentially graphic in nature, but it's been circulated a lot. And again, fortunately, nobody was harmed. But this is a school bus stop last week, March 5th, where a vehicle not only didn't stop like they were legally supposed to for the school bus, but they aggressively passed on the right-hand side off of the road, not even on the road. They left the roadway. It's incredibly egregious. Now, fortunately, it seems like, and what I'm hearing is that the violator here has been tracked down, and the sheriff's office or other authorities are doing what they need to do here. But take a look at this. This is a school bus stop, and you're not going to be able to miss it. But the gold or yellow goldish sort of truck that passes on the right-hand side of this bus. This clip is not sped up. It is not doctored or altered in any way. It was sent to me by somebody here locally, and I've done nothing other than upload it. And I only say this because it's going to seem almost like it's in fast forward how fast this truck is going. You can see the students who are here about to go, and then boom. Now, fortunately, nobody was hit. Nobody was harmed. But imagine the time in this video being just a few seconds later when this happened and what could have happened. So I want to review. The purpose of this is not to out that person. It's not a witch hunt. I think that they've already been found. They've already been identified. They've already been contacted by the authorities. So I don't want this to be about that. I just want this to be a PSA and an informative, what are the scenarios in which you need to stop for a bus? Because I think there might be some confusion out there, and I want this to serve as a refresher. And understand that if you get apprehended doing this, there are fines, there are points on your license and everything like that that are at play. If you get caught doing this more than once, it escalates. At the end of the day, the advice from me is when in doubt and there's a school bus nearby, even if you think it might be stopping, maybe the stop sign hasn't come out yet, maybe the lights haven't started flashing. Slow down, stop, use extra care and caution. So you'll see, regardless of what side of the street you are on, if you are going in the same direction as the bus, you are behind the bus, that's a little bit more clear and straightforward. You need to stop. In the picture all the way to the left, the 2-lane, which I think is very common for what we see here in Cecil County, in both directions, you need to stop when that bus is there. I believe the law is 25 feet from it. I usually find myself stopping even further. 2 lanes in either direction. When there is a median turn lane type of thing in the middle. So this next little chart over, where we're looking at effectively 5 lanes of traffic. The middle lane is not a through lane, it's used for turning. But even in that scenario, even if you are in the lane that is the furthest from the bus, you still need to stop, because kids could be crossing the street in either direction from that stop. Next one over, this is when there are just double yellow lines in the middle. There's not a turn lane, but it's 2 lanes of traffic in either direction. Everybody's got to stop. The only scenario in which you are not legally obligated, although you should use extra caution and perhaps stop. It never hurts to stop and take the 30 seconds for these kids to load on or off of the bus, because it's a lifetime if you injure somebody or harm somebody, that you have to live with this and deal with this if you were to harm somebody. But if you are in the same direction as the vehicle, and we're talking about like a highway where there's an actual barrier or median, think most parts of Route 40, where there's an actual barrier in the center, and the guardrails and everything like that. Use extra caution if you are in the opposite lane of traffic. You are not obligated to stop. You probably should, but if you are traveling in the same lane of travel, so the point is that this area in the center between the 2 lanes is not paved. There isn't a turning lane. It doesn't have to have an actual guardrail. It could just be grass or some other barrier in that median. Again, there's several areas throughout Route 40 that look like this, that have that kind of grassy or field type barrier. Some have guardrails, some do not. Right there in the middle, this is where you have to exercise caution. You are not obligated, although I personally believe that you should stop, because it's better to be safe than to be sorry. So if you are apprehended by a police officer doing this, it's first time, it's a $570 fine and up to 3 points on your license for a conviction, and subsequent offenses escalate beyond that. So again, this is education, this is information to allow you to be safe and understand what the laws are. It's not so that you don't get fined, it's so that you don't hurt somebody, because these kids have their whole lives ahead of them, and just think it through. That's really all I wanted to do. I wanted to cover this. I wanted to go over the details of when and how you need to stop, when you need to exercise caution. And again, re-emphasize, it's better safe than sorry to stop, even when you think that you might not need to. Just go ahead and do it. It's 30 seconds to a minute at most. I just want to keep this one real short. Fortunately, this situation was not as bad as it could have been. Let's work toward keeping it that way so that we don't ever have to talk about this again. We just do it and we stay safe, and our children are safe. That's all I have for you this week. I want to remind everybody that if you have a question, if something comes up, like this was brought to my attention, I mean, I couldn't miss it from social media, but our friends over at Cecil Sports Weekly reached out and said, hey, you should do something about this on your podcast. And I said, absolutely. So here we are. Same way you do it. Reach out. You can send an email to info@bowerslawmd.com. Make sure you mention this topic as something that you want discussed on the podcast. Only if you want to be credited am I going to mention your name. And again, this is not a situation that involves Sports Weekly. They just said, hey, you should cover these laws on the podcast. So we are. So send us an email there. if it is accident, injury related, or somewhere adjacent like this isn't a situation that we would handle. If there were an injury, we would, and I certainly don't wish that, but we're here for it. It's something that I'll talk about. If it's something that I don't handle, I'll bring in another attorney or colleague that I trust, that I know does that type of work all the time, every day. And we'll talk to them. We've done it several times in the past. We'll do it again. As always, if you want the back catalog, if you want to learn about other stuff, either go to the YouTube channel or go to bowerslawmd.com. That's my firm's website. Right up there at the top where it says podcast, you can click on that. It'll give you all of the back catalog, all sorts of different topics, super valuable stuff about accidents, injuries, insurance, how to prepare yourself to protect you and your family, because you never know who might hit you, who they're insured by, or if they're even insured at all. And especially, you never know how much insurance they have. And sometimes that's a limiting factor in these cases. So protecting yourself through your own insurance policy can be incredibly important. That's all the time I have for this week. Please, thank you for tuning in. Next week, same time, same location, 11 a.m. next Monday. Scratch that. I may not be here next Monday because I'm going to be in Texas. So I will either pre-record next week's episode or it will be bumped a week. We will see. Hopefully we see you next week in some way, shape, or form. Be well, be safe out there. This is your accident and injury guy right here in Elkton, signing off.